Intro to Photosynthesis, adapted from The Shawshank Redemption. This is the story of Henry Hydrogen, a simple man.
Our story begins with H2O falling from a storm cloud. It is then absorbed by the stroma of a plant. The sun then shines, and its rays emit ultraviolet light, which then splits the water into the following: 2 hydrogens, an oxygen, and 2 electrons. The oxygen then finds another oxygen, and the 2 exit the stroma together. The 2 hydrogen atoms are new in town and want to make friends with electrons. Sadly for Henry the Hydrogen, he's out of luck.
This is the chloroplast prison. It is surrounded by a barbed wire membrane and is full of granite. Here represented as cell blocks. Each cell block is composed of several cells that house the prisoner's hydrogen. This is a thylakoid. This is known as a portion of the thylakoid.
The first portion of this membrane is known as the primary electron acceptor, here represented as a guardhouse. The second portion is known as the cytochrome complex, through which the hydrogens enter. The electron is then put through the ETC. Go. A ray of light hits the guard tower, or the primary electron acceptor. This happens twice a day, once for breakfast and once for dinner. Before the hydrogens can get to breakfast and dinner, they must go through the ATP synthase. So, in the prison, there are 2 times when the hydrogens come outside. Whenever they go outside, though, to get lunch or to work out or whatever, they always have to go through ATP synthase, aka hard labor in the laundry room. Oh no. So, every time that they want to go out, they go through this ATP synthase, laundry room, but secretly, what's going on inside is a whole complex system of currency. You see, in prison, they use cigarettes instead of money. Cigarettes are power, you see. But 3 cigarettes to a pack makes enough to actually make a trade. Like, you gotta get some magazines or something, you got an inorganic phosphate, making a whole pack of 3 cigarettes, or ATP. BAM! All going on in the laundry room. So, the hydrogens all funnel out of the revolving door, making ATP as they go along. But they're still sad, because they want to meet up with their friends, the electrons, who are still outside the membrane. So there's a big build of hydrogen atoms inside the membrane, and they want to get out. So they go and they get out of the ATP synthase. They all go outside. So hydrogen and his electron are finally reunited at the lunch table, but somebody comes along to ruin it all. NADP+. So, all this goes down at NADP+ reductase, where NAD+ is going to take the electron and the hydrogen and take them to the warden's office, also known as the Calvin cycle. This is the warden of the chloroplast prison. He's a pretty mean guy. He's very corrupt. In fact, the only thing on his mind is money. He realizes that hydrogen is a really smart guy. He used to be an accountant. And he realizes that he can use him to keep his books in line. So, the first thing the CO2 warden does is he connects with Ribulus, a really fancy hat. And that's the first part of the cycle. The next thing he does is he takes these guys and humiliates them. He steals away a cigarette of ATP, making ADP and 1 inorganic phosphate. He's like, yeah, I'm the boss. So, the next step in the cycle is very important. This is where the warden decides he's got to split this over time because the cops are getting suspicious. So he takes all his savings and splits them in half. He makes 1 half glucose for every time he goes around the cycle. Then he loses his hat. The cycle begins again. And a second half of glucose is created. The warden is in fact a corrupt and terrible person who will stop at nothing to separate hydrogen from his electron. So at the end of part 1 of photosynthesis, our 2 main characters are still very unhappy. And more to be continued.